Alright guys, today we've got an unboxing that tens of people are going to care about. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your favorite mask collector's favorite mask collector, AJ Good here at the House of Masks, and in today's video we've got a very special unboxing. Imagine that! Aren't they all? All jokes aside, this is a very, very cool unboxing that I am personally super excited for, and there are no masks in this package. At least, not that I know of, but this is heavily mask related, heavily related to the project that we just released in the last video, which got a fantastic reception. Thank you guys for all of the kind words on that. Really, really glad that you like it. And it's just super closely related to my life in general. I'm a big fan of the subject matter, and it's a super nostalgic and sentimental thing for me. So, let's go ahead and grab today's package. That's what she said. Don't try that Halloween shit with me, from Bucky. The Nightmare Man. Discount Mart. DQ after? 2 scoops, what could this mean? Oh... I mean, all of that has to pretty much be a dead giveaway for most of you guys watching this video, but if you are unfamiliar, this is obviously going to be a Halloween 4 related unboxing, but not just any Halloween 4 unboxing. We have pretty much the entirety of Vincent's Drugstore in this box. Now, like I said, we don't have any masks. That's a separate deal that I'm working on, but I was able to convince my buddy Dan Ubel, who has the most impressive Vincent's Drugstore scene collection that I've ever seen, to sell me all of the stuff that I needed for my Vincent's drug scene. Now, some of this stuff is the only stuff out there. He has some items that I've never ever seen in the hands of other collectors. Dan was the only person that had them. Now, unfortunately for Dan, and fortunately for me, he had to invest some money into some mask room upgrades, and he told me that he would sell me this stuff to kind of replenish his funds. Worked out nice for me, and obviously Dan knows that it's going to a good home, so as bittersweet as it is, at least he knows that if I ever have to get rid of it, it'll go right back to him. And in the meantime, it will be greatly appreciated and greatly admired. So let's go ahead and hop on into the package and see what we've got. I lied already. What are we talking about? God, I'm such a liar. I said there was no masks in this package, but right on top, I see a mask that would fit in very, very nicely in my new project, the Dino's Mask Shop spot. And it's even tagged, so that definitely has to go in there. These fake Jason Voorhees inspired fake hockey mask pieces were everywhere and still are, but they were definitely prominent in the 80s and the 90s, and everybody had these. I had probably 5 or 6 of these that I legitimately wore for Halloween. Some of them glowed in the dark, some of them looked a little bit more like Jason, some of them were just plain white like this thing. But one thing is for sure, these are familiar and definitely sentimental to a lot of us, and this will work fantastic over in that project. So that's sick. Love the tag on it. Definitely going to be a nice little addition to the Dino's Mask Shop spot. So thank you, Dan. That is very, very cool. I wonder what other surprises are in here. Look at me just pretending to be entitled to surprises. All right, so it looks like this is a bonus piece right on top there. A little plastic hanging skeleton, still tagged. Again, a perfect item for the Dino's Mask Shop, which, by the way, if you guys haven't seen that, I know I've talked about it a few times in this video. You might be wondering what I'm talking about. It was the last video that I posted before this one, and if you are digging this content or you think you're going to like this video, then you should definitely go back and watch that because it's just on a whole other level, and it'll make a lot more sense exactly what I'm talking about when I say that these items will fit in there perfect. So, there we have the little hanging skeleton with the tag. Very, very nice. I wonder what else we have. I see, ooh, a few things. These are very, very cool. Hanging spider, of course. Perfect. And we have a Happy Halloween bell of some sort. It looks like it has cat ears on it. You can hear it kind of ring-ding-dingling there. I don't really know what that would be used for. Maybe you put it like on your kid while they're trick-or-treating so you can hear them? I don't know. Either way, it looks like all 4 of those items are going to fit in very nicely over in the Dino's Mask Shop. So thank you very much, Dan. I think that that is all of the extras. And now it looks like we can get on into the actual Vincent's Drugstore pieces. So we're gonna start with this. And I know exactly what this is without even having to unwrap it. It was kind of, sort of what made me hit up Dan about his Vincent stuff to begin with. There were a few pieces that I was missing that I just could not find anywhere, and this was one of them. I have been scouring eBay for this, and Marketplace, and Craigslist, and I just can't find these, and they should be pretty common. It's one of those things that you would think that there would just be a million of at all times, much like most of the things in the Vincent's drug scene. But they're just not. To find the correct ones is really, really hard. So I guess before we start unboxing all of this stuff, I need to say, this is bittersweet for me as well, because half the fun of collecting is the hunt. It's the thrill of the hunt. That's what collectors love. We love getting up every single day and looking for this stuff and finding it in the wild. It's a really, really nice feeling. However, another big part of collecting is owning the items and having them. So this was a bit of a shortcut, but again, some of these items just don't exist out there. These are the only ones. So this might have been my only chance to ever get these pieces. Now with that being said, I'm happy with the deal. It was a great deal. Dan really, really hooked me up on this, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing all of this stuff together and in my collection. So, item number 1 from Vincent's Drug, we have the Halloween Party Pumpkins. Look at those guys. Vintage AF. The coolest shit. They make no sense. Like, what are these even supposed to be for? You just lay these on a table or a shelf or something when it's time to decorate? They don't fit over lights, and they don't have little handles, so they're not buckets. They're just party pumpkins. What the fuck does that even mean? Yeah! You partiers see these pumpkins? Like, what are we talking about? I don't know, but they were there. Vincent's Drug Scene, item number 1, party pumpkins. For some reason, I just could not track these down, so I'm super happy to have these, whatever the fuck they are, and I'm very excited to keep going through the box. So, let's go ahead and do that. There are quite a few pieces, so it might seem like I'm rushing and not giving too much of a background, but there's a lot to unbox, and really the only background that you need to know is that the items that you are seeing were used in the Vincent's Drug Scene. So everything in this was seen at Vincent's Drug Store during the Vincent's Drug Scene in Halloween 4, except for this piece. This was a bonus piece, something else that I was looking for that I just couldn't find. I have seen a few of these out there in the hands of collectors. I know my buddy Rudy has a couple of them, and there's actually a Vincent's Drug Scene group over on Facebook where I saw someone else score one recently, but I couldn't find one. And even though this wasn't seen in the Vincent's Drugstore scene, this was seen in Halloween 4 and presumably purchased at Vincent's Drugstore. This is actually the safety flashlight that Jamie is carrying around while she's trick-or-treating later that night. So I can only assume that it was purchased at Vincent's Drug, and obviously it fits right in with the time, so I think that this is a cool piece. Again, not the rarest in the lot. One of my favorite pieces in the lot, though. It's just a classic skull and a classic safety light. I remember having safety lights when I trick-or-treated as a kid, so this is very, very rad. The only item that didn't come from the Vincent's Drugstore scene, or at least wasn't seen in the scene. Take a drink of water every time I say scene in this video, and you guys will be hydrated as fuck by the end of it. Alright, moving right along, and next up we have, I actually don't know. Okay, I do know what this is. This is an item that I thought I had, but I may have the wrong version. I may have something that is just close enough. Now, the reason that I think I may have a slightly incorrect copy is because all of the other copies I've seen in the hands of other collectors have been very, very yellow. My copy is still extremely white, but I assumed that it was still this white because it was in some sort of shrink wrap, like the original packaging, and for whatever reason, I thought that that would mean that the wax wouldn't yellow, but I'm starting to think that I just have the wrong one. Mine definitely doesn't have this base. I thought for a second there that this was just glued on there, but this is the actual candle base. It's got the candle information on the bottom there. And yeah, I definitely have had the incorrect version in my collection. This one is way cooler. It seems to have more of an open mouth and a grin than mine. So here we have the Bleeding Skull candle from Halloween 4, Vincent's Drugstore scene. It is seen right when the drugstore scene kicks off. As soon as you're inside, you're kind of panning past a couple Halloween items, and that is one of them. Next up, we have something that isn't quite wrapped up there. That'll be easy to show you guys, and that is just some classic special effects blood there. This is the Living Nightmare Legend Blood. Boy, what a name. Again, nothing too crazy. I do have one of these in my collection already, but the packaging looks slightly different. I'm starting to think that all of my Vincent's Drug Scene stuff was slightly incorrect. This is making me feel a lot different about what I have in there, so I'm actually gonna go look. Just give me a second.
A few moments later.
I'm becoming more and more happy with this purchase because not only did I have the wrong candle, but I just looked at the blood as well and it was also wrong. Now, what I actually have in there is from the same line as this and all of the packaging is the same, but the guy on the front and the actual product itself is slightly different. What I have is Glow Cream and they have a glowing skull right there, but all of the logos, the size, the packaging, all of that is the exact same. So it looked pretty close, but it must have just been something that came from the same line as this blood. So I'm already getting more from this package than I thought I was going to. All right, cruising along, we have yet another piece that I just cannot find, and that is these classic Halloween stickers. Again, nothing crazy, just some random old cheap Halloween stickers, and these were seen when Michael was reaching over and grabbing his mask. They can be seen right to the right side, I guess the left on the screen, but yeah, they're right there hanging next to Michael's mask. And these are the exact same ones, so very, very cool. All right, let's continue. It looks like next up we have the Skull Streamers. Or I guess just Skull Garland is what they're labeled as. And I mean, come on, this is just the most random stuff. I've had this backwards the whole time. There you go. I thought that that tag was double-sided. Here we have the Skull Garland. Yet again, just another piece of the visuals of Vincent's Drug. A lot of these are underwhelming, so I'm scooting through them. But to Halloween 4 fans, this is a big deal. All right, now, this is one that I, again, just could not find. I've seen these in the hands of a few collectors, but I myself was having no luck. No matter where I looked or what time of year I looked, I could not find these. These very, very specific spider webs with a very cool looking S on the end. That is actually how I was looking for these, was matching them up with the logo there. But yeah, just had no luck and could not find them and really wanted them. So all of these things together, as you can tell, are going to make for a pretty cool, pretty nostalgic, very vintage looking scene, and they're all screen accurate, so I will actually be able to do a full-on legitimate Vincent's Drugstore display. That is something that I've wanted to do forever, and it won't be a part of the Dino's Mask Shop, and it won't be a part of my actual Halloween full-on H1 through whatever we're at right now display. It's going to be its own side thing. I have to dedicate something to that because that movie and that scene in particular are such a big deal to me. I've explained it before, but I'll go ahead and explain it again for anybody that's newly watching. I have such an attachment to Halloween 4 because it is the first Halloween movie that I saw. My grandpa actually showed me that when I was a little kid, and it just changed something in me. I was hooked from that point on. Not only was it the first one that I saw and special because it was with my grandpa, but it also just reminds me of Chillicothe, my hometown. I've never seen a movie that makes me think of the vibe and the atmosphere of Chillicothe in the early 90s, and that's my life. I love Chillicothe. I love those little places like the gas station and the diner, Vincent's Drugstore specifically, and some of the neighborhoods that you see in Halloween 4 are just super nostalgic for me, so I love it. Super big attachment, and the Vincent's Drug Scene is obviously my favorite part of the movie, so to have all of this is just absolutely wild. Now, I think we are on to the final piece here. Yes, it appears so. This is a double, something that I already have in my collection, and something that I was looking forward to getting a second copy of because Buckethead also used these. But what we have here are some classic rubber skeleton gloves. These aren't the hardest to find. I've had a copy in my collection for a little while now, I'd say a couple of years. But again, I'm always looking for doubles, and with this specifically, I wanted a double not just because they're cool or because they were used in Vincent's Drug Scene in H4, but because Buckethead actually used these exact same gloves. So now I can take the ones that I've had for a while out of my current Halloween section here at the building and move them into the Buckethead display, and I can add these to the Vincent's drug scene that kind of exists in front of you now. So that is pretty much it. I can't express to you guys how rare some of this stuff is, how hard to find it is. I know that if you're watching this and you're not really into it, you're probably wondering what the big deal is, but I promise you guys, this is some very, very sought after, hard to find, and very special to my heart stuff. So that is going to pretty much do it for today's video. Now, of course, before I leave you guys, I'm going to spread all of this stuff out and give you some nice up-close shots of it so that you can see all of the detail here. And then we can start working on a Vincent's display. So I guess you guys have that to look forward to. One last huge shout out to my buddy Dan. Thank you very, very much, man. I appreciate all of this stuff. And again, it's going to have a great home here. And if it ever leaves my collection, you have first dibs for sure, I promise. Thank you very, very much for selling me all of this. It was a super easy transaction, just like it always is. I very, very much appreciate you. And I appreciate you guys, the viewers. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far in this video in particular, you are a real MVP. Drop a comment down below that says, I'm a real MVP, so I know that you're a real MVP. And until next time, this has been AJ Good here at the House of Masks, telling you to say no to drugs and alcohol, and yes to classic Halloween, and we will see you guys in the next one.